have to fix, or I need to lose some weight, or I didn't finish that project that I started last year, or, it tends to be from a little bit of a negative or judgy or should kind of place. And it's kind of hard to get excited when you're coming from that approach. So what I want to do today is really approach it from a different perspective. And first, let's say, please use the chat box if you will. Name a past goal that you started really excited about, and then it fizzled off by like February or March. I can name several. No more sugar. I will journal every day. I will meditate every day. I will drink more water. I will walk 4 times a week for just 15 minutes. Does this sound familiar? Okay. And they're all great goals, and they're even pretty small goals. I will drink 3 more glasses of water every day. But what's missing is the big picture of why it's important to you. And if you can kind of declare that and commit to that, it allows all of the little goals and the steps that you're going to take kind of fall into place a little bit better. So bear with me as I flip through. I'm used to having in-person and giving handouts and having people participate. And when I only have like 20 minutes and it's online, it's a little harder for me to share all of the things going on in my brain. But I'm going to actually start with just a little bit of neuroscience. So I'm giving you just a few pages from the deck of a full presentation. If you ever want the full one, it's about mental fitness and developing core muscles that help you handle challenges. So when you use the same information when it comes to your goals and your intentions, what we're looking at is the survivor brain is, I got to fix it, I have to make things better. I'm working from that more of a fight or flight or judgmental kind of part of my brain. But if I'm coming from my sage part of my brain, it's literally more in your prefrontal cortex. I'm motivated through positive emotions. So if you're looking on the yellow side of the screen here, what motivates you through positive emotions? Well, empathy or curiosity or passion or purpose. So if I use that example of a health goal, I want to be healthier. I'm tired of being achy joints, or I'm tired of my clothes not fitting me. I just want to feel better. So if you go with those kind of thoughts, then you get to be curious and innovative and come up with some new ideas. Whereas if I'm coming from my survivor brain, I'm maybe disgusted with myself for having, eaten too much over the holidays, and now my clothes don't fit. And so it's a very different frame of mind. And even when you are, a high achieving, busy person in your job, and you're just, I want to do more, I want to do better, I want to, keep up. Maybe you just feel like you're barely swimming above the tide. If you're in that sort of survivor brain, the hyperachiever or the controller part of you or the pleaser part of you is in charge of what you're trying to achieve. And if you can just, the 3 kind of step process is to name that your saboteur is telling you what to do, and then just sort of do something that will ground you. We don't really have time today, but if you imagine that you just take 3 short deep breaths right now. And just get yourself in the room, feel your feet on the ground. Focus on your breath for just a minute. And then say, okay, what do I want? What do I want this year? What do I want my life to look like? Who do I want to be this year? So the difference between the survivor brain, yes, you might keep up and you might get all those things done and get through your to-do list, but there's a lot of stress involved with that. And it's not sustainable, and it really doesn't make you happy. But the sage, if you're approaching it from the sage perspective, and if you just take 2 minutes every day, I hate to use the word just, if you will commit to taking 2 or 3 minutes in the morning, the beginning of the day, and just take a few breaths and say, what do I want? What would make this a great day? And just let that creative, passionate side of your brain decide for you. So I will just quickly forward all of these guys. There are 10, this is all based on the work by Shirzad Chamine. And I got into a coaching program that he offered last fall for coaches. He's a Stanford MBA and lecturer. He was the CEO of the coaching program that I was in years ago. And he did a lot of research. You know, there's neuroscience, there's cognitive science, there's, sports psychology. There's a lot of fields that study what went well, how do we do better? And here, I'll advance the slide one more time. And if you want to take a picture of all of these. It's all in the book called Positive Intelligence. And there are 10 sort of root causes for why we get stuck in the negative thinking. And the judge is the biggest one. We all have the judge. And then these other 9 are sort of the accomplices. If you're a procrastinator, you probably have a voider in you, and you probably have a good, strong, restless part of you as well. I know that one really well. I've even written a book about procrastination because I know it so well. So take a screenshot if you want. And just remember that if that part of you, if you hear thoughts that are kind of negative, if you're feeling negative, immediately you can name one of these saboteurs that's probably in control. And then you just do a little breathing. We call them PQs. PQ stands for positive intelligence. And then let me just stop sharing for a moment, see everybody's faces. When you can stop that way of thinking, then it allows your more creative sage part of you to take control. So if I want to set intentions from that sage way of thinking, I want everybody to just take a moment, close your eyes, think about, what do I really want for 2021? Go from that sage part of your brain. What is purpose-driven? What meets your values? What's important to you? And think of maybe 1 or 2 areas of your life that you'd really like to focus on this year. It could be your daily habits. It could be I want to do more of this work and share this more with people. So from one of my business growth goals is to do this kind of work with people. Maybe there is something you want to be in a comfortable home that reflects who you are and isn't full of a lot of old stuff that you don't need anymore and that you feel guilty every time you look at it, Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, put in the chat box maybe one thing that came to you that you'd like to set an intention for this year. And again, I'll share you. I did this earlier this week. We did one on a vision board. So it had a little bit different start, but we came up with 3 things, and these were my 3 things. So I want better health. I want the best health I can have, even at 63, and grow my business, even at 63, and quality time with the people in my family, even if it's on Zoom, because most of it is. So what did you come up with? Anybody want to put manage stress, relax more? Great. Yeah, so even just phrasing that, sorry, the manage stress has a little bit of that negative or anxious feel to it. So if relaxing more, what does that feel like? Maybe you're taking a walk around the grounds at work once a day. Maybe it's, you think of the little things. Find 15 minutes of me time, healthier living, expand my mind through reading and learning. I love that. Yeah, family vacation. Yeah, even despite everything going on with COVID, my daughter had a trip planned to a dude ranch in Arizona, and she's there and they're having a great time, their own little cabin. Everybody's wearing masks when they're in communal space, and her kids are learning how to ride horses, and they're just having a great time. So there you're balancing your, your value of quality time with your family with the risk of taking the trip. But they're doing their test before and after, and wish them luck. So we had some really interesting things there. And so what do you do with that? So let me share one goal worksheet that I use with all my clients. And if anybody wants this handout, just, put your email or just send me an email. I put mine in the chat box and I'd be happy to send this to you. So an outcome is different than a goal. The outcome is have a more relaxed lifestyle or work-life harmony or expanding my mind. Then that's the outcome I want to achieve and really get into what that feels like. That means I have a really nice selection of books I want to read whenever I have the time, and maybe I put it in my calendar, or I make it part of my beginning of the day or end of the day habits. So talk about why is this important to you? Does anybody want to share? Feel free to unmic and say what your goal is and why it's important to you. Did anybody put something in? Nancy, if you could let me know. Yeah, Deirdre, go ahead and unmute. There you go.
I have 2 grandkids and 1 on the way. So my goal is to, before COVID hit, I took off like 1 week, 1 afternoon a week, and spend it with my granddaughter. And I want to be able to do more of that because now I have more grandkids. So it's, I want to buy my time back. So I want to hire more people to buy my time back so I could spend more time with my family.
Yeah, and it's hard when you are your business. It can be very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, this is my 5th presentation in a week, so my voice is going. Hold on. So yeah, you can feel by the way she shared that what's important to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think about how soon you want to achieve it. Might be, so the typical health one might have been, I will lose 15 pounds by April 1st. Maybe, there's some event you're going to way back when we used to go to events, and you want to fit into a certain size clothing or something, right? But it might also be, I'm here now, and this is my ultimate goal over here, maybe by the end of the year. Well, what's phase 1 or phase 2 look like? Just if you were a project manager of whatever this goal is, what might the phases look like? So Deirdre, you said you might hire more people so that you could buy back some time, right? So having a business plan that allows you to hire more people. And it might even include, I will make sure I have job descriptions and cross training for all my staff. And I'm working with one client who, one of his goals for this year was that cross training, because when someone is out, he ends up filling in, and he was working 15-hour days. So how do you buy back time? You make sure that your team can do all the work that they can do, and you can just guide and be the leader, So I know whenever, a health goal, whenever I've gone on a trip, I set this goal of doing a lot more walking before I go. So I went to Rome years ago. I just figured, well, if it's about 60 miles to do the circumference of Rome, I'm going to set a chart on my refrigerator, and I'm going to walk 60 miles in the month leading up to my trip. And I color coded it, and I colored in, each mile I walked, and it was fun to kind of watch it happen. So I had the goal of 60 miles, so if you go to those baby steps. And it was funny because as I got closer and closer to my trip, and I had a little bit too big a gap, it seemed like I wasn't going to make the goal. I started walking more. It's like if you watch your steps on a fitness app, you're like, oh, I haven't done enough steps. I'm going to take the stairs, or I'm going to park my car further away, or, So think of what an outcome is supported by goals, and habits support the goals. So what is the habit you can be focused on developing that will support the goals that are going to support your outcome. For some people, health also relates to sleep. So a habit might be turn off all electronics by a certain time so that your mind has a chance to wind down. Maybe that's when you pick up a book and you do some reading. Or I have a few different apps on my phone for calming. And there's actually an app for the mental fitness program that I offer. And it has little daily reminders to do things, and it has a whole, it's basically the whole book of positive intelligence in an app. It's wonderful. So think about, does anybody have any little SMART goals that they want to share in the chat box? It usually starts with, I will do X by X. Anybody have anything? Or it could be, I will read 15 minutes a day. I will walk. If anybody wants to share, just go ahead and unmute. I can't see everybody's faces, so Nancy, if you want to help with that. So what supports your ability to achieve this outcome? Oh, did somebody put something in there, Nancy? Let's see, chat.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Deborah will remember to take time to take a few breaths each day to start her day.
Yeah, that's actually there are some easy reminders. There are some apps on the phone that you can set to just ding very quietly, and you can set it certain times, you can set it certain hours, or you can set an alarm on your phone. It could be the beginning of your day. Like the first thing you do when you sit down at your desk is just do 2 minutes of breathing and let your mind clear of all the clutter. Just, I find when I do my breathing, I need to put my hand on my belly, because then I just focus on my belly expanding as I'm breathing. And then if I think just about the breathing, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, I can't be thinking of my shopping list when I'm saying breathing in, breathing out,
Gabe wants to walk every day. Gabe's going to commit to walk every day.
Nice, Gabe.
And Karen's going to read 21 minutes every day for 2021.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And isn't it fun when you kind of combine things like that, the year and the amount, and wouldn't it be fun to have some sort of chart? Well, that's the way my brain works. Might be different for you. But even if you kept a chart and just check it off. And in the beginning, you may not do 21 minutes. Give yourself the check anyway. Just say, I read. Even if it's a magazine for your business, I did some reading today. Give yourself, don't let the judge decide whether it was good or bad. And don't let the judge decide whether you have time or not, because the judge will always win out and say you don't have time, especially if you have a busy life.
And Gladys is going to practice more discipline.
Self-command. So that's something that's definitely in this positive intelligence program. Discipline is basically saying, I will do what I intend to do. And if you write your intentions down for each day, I wouldn't write a gazillion. Like if you keep a to-do list, try to keep it relatively smaller so you don't get overwhelmed. And one tip I've always heard is try to do the hardest thing first thing in the day when you're a little bit fresher and you have more willpower. Brian Tracy calls it eat the frog. Let me finish putting up the rest of this handout here so you can see it. If there's something that's been on your to-do list for a week or a month or a year, you have to decide whether you're procrastinating about it or it's not the right time, or you just need to face it. Maybe you need a little coaching to get around why you're not approaching this goal. And that gets to what inhibits your ability to achieve this outcome. So you might have a specific, like money. I don't have enough money to buy that thing that I wanted for my home that's going to help me in some way. But I could save for it and make the intention of saving for it. And then when I have that money, I will get that thing that's important to me. Your mindset is really about switching the dial from listening to your saboteur thinking to listening to your sage. And you can reframe just about anything. If you catch yourself saying it in a negative way, like, I will stress less, say, no, I will relax more. Choose the positive. We can also have competing goals. So even just mine, that I will grow my business, might compete, depending on how I set it up, with quality time with friends. If my business has grown quite a bit in the last 10 months, because I think more people are realizing that coaching is helpful for your frame of mind and to help you achieve goals and to eliminate stress and all that. But as my business is growing, I have to set better boundaries around when it's okay for me to pick up an email or send an email or, check a text message or whatever. So be careful if you have competing goals, design the boundaries around them. Think of strategies that can help if you set a timer, like for the meditation. If you use your calendar I actually have two kind of funny things on my calendar. On Wednesdays, I have blog and newsletter time, because I now have a bi-weekly newsletter. If you want to be on it, just send me an email or go to my website. But the other one is house reclaiming. I have that on Sundays at 4:00. If there's any like clutter around, especially my living room, my kitchen, I just, even if it's 15 minutes, just do a little bit of reclaiming of my space. And that way it's just there. It's a reminder, of course, if I'm on vacation, I get rid of it that time. Or if I know Sunday's going to be a really busy day, maybe I'll put it on Saturday or on Monday. I just change, where that goal is, but I'm still doing it each week. And then I celebrate when I've spent 3 hours reclaiming. It's better than 15, but I can't set that goal for 3 hours, because that might be too overwhelming or too hard, or I've judged it as like, that's impossible. One mindset with a goal that can be really limiting, and I'm probably running out of time now, is if you have an all or nothing mindset. I had a client who wanted to go to the gym 4 times a week. Well, if Monday and Tuesday went by and she still hadn't gone to the gym, it was like, well, there's no way I'm going to fit in 4 more times this week. So I'll just start next week. And it's not helpful to think that way. Celebrate that you got there once or twice. Celebrate the 10 minutes of reading, not 21. Celebrate whatever it is, but don't forget to celebrate. And then what are you going to say yes to? Acknowledge, a little empathy for myself, using my calendar. There's just so many things you can say yes to. And it depends on your goal. This is a good sheet to have for each goal. For my writing, my newsletter, I had butt in chair time. I have to have some time to do my writing, but I can also, if I'm walking, I can be thinking it through or talking it into my phone. Believing I can do it. Remember the feeling of accomplishment. Focus on one thing at a time. We all believe that we can multitask, but really we can't. Even when I'm doing my meditation, I'm trying to just focus on my breathing. If my brain goes to, oh, car just went by, then I wasn't focused on my breathing. You're not as successful if you try to multitask. So really focus on one thing at a time. And then things to say no to, obviously all of the saboteurs, whichever ones are acting up. Time wasting, lack of planning, competing goals, hitting the easy button. So if you're really good at your to-do list and getting all those easy things done, say no to that for a little while and just focus on the what you've deemed harder, and you're probably going to be a lot happier because you're going to feel so much more accomplished. And say no to bright, shiny objects. So am I out of time, Deborah? I know I've been blabbing away here for a while. So does anyone have any questions, or anyone want to share, like a big takeaway today? Or I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
I really like that first grid that you put up there, to kind of look at what are the reasons, pick one of those reasons why you're negative.
Oh, the saboteur ones?
Yeah, I have a 21-year-old at home that seems to always be negative, and she can never figure out what the conflict is.
I'm actually starting a 7-week program. It starts next week, either Tuesday night at 6 o'clock or Thursdays at noon. And it's going to include this app, which normally he offers it for almost $1,000. But you'll get the app on your phone. It has the audio version of the book. We meet weekly. We talk. You get to do the assessment that shows which saboteurs are the most prevalent for you. And there's just so many benefits to doing the program. But I am offering that. And I'm offering it all the time, whether it's in a group that starts at certain times or whether you want to do it one-on-one with some coaching or whatever. So I'd be happy to talk more about that. But please, send me my email. It's monica@newstepslifecoaching.com. And if there's any handouts or, I'm happy to share.
Deidre, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't know what you don't know.